In a galaxy shaped by conquest, where diplomacy was merely a pause between wars, one name stood above all others: the Crosian Empire. For 8,000 years, they moved through the stars like a storm, extinguishing resistance, rewriting history in the language of fire and domination. No species had ever stopped them. No world had ever survived them. Then, they came to Earth. What was supposed to be a routine operation, a minor footnote in the Empire's endless campaign, became something else entirely. The humans did not beg. They did not kneel. They did not die the way other species had. Instead, they adapted. Fast. Brutally fast. They turned defeat into calculation. Loss into learning. And every fallen soldier into a weapon waiting to be born. This is not just the story of a failed invasion. This is the moment a galactic superpower looked into the eyes of a species it thought was weak, and saw its own future crumble. Because the humans didn't just survive. They changed everything. What did the Crosians see that shook them to their core? What made them retreat from a world they thought they had already conquered? And what happens when a civilization built on fear finally meets something it's right to be afraid of? You're about to find out. And once you do, nothing in the galaxy will ever feel the same again. The command deck feels more like a tomb than a place of victory. The walls breathe with slow pulses of bioluminescent energy. The air smells of cold metal, engine oil, and something faintly acidic like the taste of failure. High Admiral Vorzak stands at the center platform, surrounded by command consoles and silent officers. His exoskeleton gleams under the low light, a cold shade of obsidian blue. His antennae remain still, watching, waiting. A door hisses open. Commander Drex enters, his tentacles twitching in a pattern of ceremonial pride. His compound eyes are wide, full of forced triumph. Drex. Trying to sound proud. Congratulations, High Admiral Vorzak. We have secured the human home world. Earth is now under Crosian control. Their governments have surrendered. Our victory is total. No response. Vorzak remains silent. Vorzak. Coldly. Casualties? The question cuts through the air like a blade. Drex hesitates. His tentacles curl tighter, his voice falters. Drex. We lost 73% of our invasion force. The silence that follows is not just quiet. It is suffocating. Vorzak's claws tense. A low vibration runs through the floor. The lights above flicker. Vorzak. Seething. 73%. Steps forward. And you call this victory? Drex. Stammering. High Admiral, we destroyed their major cities. Their armies collapsed. They had no chance against our technology. Vorzak. Then why is my ship filled with the stench of death? He steps toward Drex slowly. The sound of his feet echoes with mechanical clicks across the deck. Vorzak. Why are there ruins littered with Crosian corpses? Why do our medbays overflow? Why do I hear screams in the night shift from soldiers who cannot forget what they saw? Drex swallows thickly. He tries to regain composure, but Vorzak is relentless. Drex. They fought differently. Without logic. Without fear. They charged directly into plasma fire. Some carried only metal sticks and fire bombs. They attacked with rage, as if they welcomed death. Vorzak narrows his eyes. Vorzak. Show me. Drex hesitates. Vorzak. Now. The central holographic emitter activates with a sharp chime. The lights dim to a haunting violet glow. Footage fills the chamber. Crosian walkers march through ruined cities. Buildings burn. The sky is choked with black smoke. The ground trembles under the weight of armored transports. Then they appear. Humans. Running straight into the line of fire. Screaming. Bleeding. Some with missing limbs. Others carrying wounded comrades on their backs. One man covered in soot, his leg gone from the knee down, crawls toward a tank. He smiles, teeth blood-stained, and shoves a primitive explosive into the tank's vent before the footage cuts to static. Vorzak. WH. What is wrong with them? CAXI, Intel officer. They value something more than survival. Vorzak. Such as CAXI. Freedom. Vengeance. Home. More footage. Human children helping load ammunition. Elderly civilians throwing Molotov cocktails. A woman screams as she charges a squad of Crosian scouts, detonating herself with an explosive vest. Vorzak. They are not soldiers. CAXI. No, sir. They are just human. Drex lowers his gaze. DREX. And we underestimated them. Vorzak turns back to the screen. His eyes fixate on a moment frozen in time, a human soldier standing on a pile of Crosian wreckage, holding a stolen plasma rifle, face bloodied but unbroken. Vorzak. We didn't conquer them. CAXI. Sir? Vorzak. We provoked them. Vorzak steps back from the screen, voice low. Vorzak. This is not victory. This is a warning. The war room glows with shifting red lights. Holograms flicker over the circular table battle maps, troop status, casualty reports. The air is heavy. Almost humid, like something breathing just beneath the metal walls. High Admiral Vorzak sits in silence. His claws are locked together. His gaze is fixed on the central display. The numbers are undeniable. Unit strength is dropping by the hour. Entire squads have gone dark. Caxi stands at the edge of the room. His voice is steady, but his mandibles twitch slightly. CAXI. Sir, we have a problem. Vorzak doesn't look away from the screen. Vorzak. They surrendered. Why are we still losing troops? CAXI. Because the humans haven't stopped fighting, not even for a moment. Now Vorzak looks up. His eyes narrow. Vorzak. Explain. Caxi gestures. The battle hologram zooms in on a dense urban sector. Dozens of red lights blink emergency signals from injured or missing Crosian units. CAXI. They are using what they call guerrilla warfare. They blend into the civilian population. Attack from shadows. Lay traps in sewers. Set ambushes in what look like abandoned schools. They strike, then disappear. A segment of video loads. A Crosian patrol walks cautiously through a city street. Buildings collapsed, smoke curling from windows. Civilians move past slowly, heads down. Then chaos. 3 civilians pull weapons from beneath their coats. Homemade explosives. Firebombs. One throws a bottle into the patrol vehicle. Flames erupt. Another charges with a rusted blade, screaming in pure rage. The feed ends with static. Drex. Disgusted. They have no honor. No discipline. No codes of engagement. CAXI. No, Commander. They have something else. Pause. Desperation. Drex scoffs, but Caxi continues, more grimly. CAXI. Desperate enemies don't follow patterns. They don't fear death. They improvise. They learn. That makes them unpredictable, and extremely dangerous. Vorzak stands slowly. The screen now displays hundreds of blinking distress markers across Earth's occupied zones. Vorzak. We're not fighting an army anymore. We're fighting an idea. He steps closer to the map, staring at the human territories glowing like embers waiting to ignite. Vorzak. An ideas. Voice low. Don't die easily. The lab is silent except for the distant hum of alien generators and the faint clatter of digital processors. The walls are lined with data cores, pulsing with threads of green light, fragments of intercepted transmissions, battlefield recordings, weapon diagnostics. Caxi stands at the center console. His claws dance across a holographic interface, pulling up footage recovered from a human-controlled sector. High Admiral Vorzak enters without a word. The doors seal behind him with a hiss of compressed gas. The room feels colder. CAXI. We found this 2 rotations ago. Recovered from a downed drone outside their capital ruins. He activates the video. A dusty road appears. Abandoned buildings on both sides. In the center, a rusted, human vehicle. A cargo truck. Civilian grade. But mounted to its roof is a Crosian plasma cannon. The weapon has been stripped of its tracking protocols, its safety locks removed. A human soldier kneels beside it, wiring a car battery directly into the energy core. Another feeds it coolant through a hose made from scrap tubing. Moments later, the cannon charges. A flash of blue plasma arcs out, vaporizing a Crosian drone in a single shot. CAXI. They've modified our weapons. Adapted them to their primitive tech. Pause. They figured this out in less than 2 weeks. Vorzak leans forward, arms crossed. His mandibles twitch slightly. Vorzak. That's impossible. They are primitives. They shouldn't even understand how to turn it on, let alone operate it. CAXI. That was our assumption. But they are not just copying, they are innovating. He loads another file. A human schematic appears, sketched in pencil on stained paper. It's a rough breakdown of a plasma core. Labeled in a strange, angular language, English. CAXI. They reverse-engineered the weapon's cooling cycle. Built a fail-safe out of radiator parts and water pumps. They are even rerouting energy flow through their power grids. Vorzak. This? Steps back, voice low. This isn't learning. It's mimicry born of madness. CAXI. No, sir. This is adaptation under pressure. He turns to face Vorzak directly. CAXI. Their learning curve isn't just steep, it's vertical. Vorzak watches the screen again. Now, footage from another city, a human child no older than 10 playing with a disabled Crosian drone, mimicking its movements, repeating its sounds, tapping into the interface with wires scavenged from a television set. Vorzak looks away. Vorzak. How long until they figure out our ship systems? CAXI. If current projections hold. Pauses. 12 rotations. Maybe less. The lights in the lab dim again, as if the ship itself had heard the warning. Vorzak turns to leave. Vorzak. If they can turn our weapons against us. Quietly. Then every defeat we give them, only makes them stronger. He stops at the doorway. Vorzak. Prepare a report for the Emperor. And start locking down every active weapon schematic. If we lose control of our tech. CAXI. Sir? Vorzak. Then we won't just lose Earth. We'll lose the advantage that made us an empire. He exits. Caxi watches him go. The footage loops again, the human truck, firing a Crosian cannon into the sky. This time, it hits something bigger. The chamber is vast and sterile, carved from dark alloy that glows faintly under methane-lit domes. The air hums with artificial gravity. A translucent atmospheric barrier splits the room in two, maintaining breathable zones for both species. On one side, Crosian command. On the other, the humans. Admiral Patel stands behind a shimmering veil. She's composed, almost statuesque. Her uniform is simple, utilitarian. Dark gray. Not a single insignia, only the calm, steady weight of command in her posture. Her skin is deep bronze. Silver streaks run through the black hair tied tightly behind her head. Her eyes sharp, unreadable. A long silence fills the chamber. Then, Patel, you called for talks. But let's be clear, this is not surrender. It's a warning. Drex twitches beside Vorzak, his exoskeleton flexing in irritation. His voice cuts through the thick air. Drex. You lost your cities. Your people are dying. You stand here outnumbered, outgunned, and you speak of warnings? Patel doesn't blink. Her voice remains calm. Precise. Patel. There are 8 billion of us. How many Crosians can you afford to lose? Drex moves as if to respond, but Vorzak raises a claw. The chamber falls quiet again. Vorzak. Let's not waste this meeting. We've both seen enough death. Let's find a way to end this, before we both lose more than we can afford. Patel tilts her head slightly, studying him like a scientist watching a specimen try to speak. Patel. You came to our planet with fire and superiority. You destroyed our cities. Took our skies. And now, when your losses grow too steep, you ask for peace. Vorzak. We ask for reason. Patel. Then leave. Take your soldiers. Take your ships. And leave Earth. Drex hisses, but says nothing. Vorzak's gaze narrows. Vorzak. The Empire does not retreat. Patel. Then it will bleed. Her words hang in the air, heavier than gravity. She steps forward, closer to the barrier. The glow of the force field reflects in her eyes. Patel. You think you've faced resistance. But you've only met the surface of who we are. She pauses. Patel. Humans don't respond to conquest like other species. We do not kneel. We rebuild. Smarter. Faster. Deadlier. Behind her, a younger human officer silently opens a briefcase-sized device and activates a small projector. A hologram appears, Crosian walkers trapped in rubble. Patrols ambushed. Human units using stolen Crosian rifles. Patel. This is one city. Multiplied by 1,000. She turns back to Vorzak. Patel. You don't understand what you've started. But you will. She taps the projector, and the image flickers off. Patel. This is your only chance. Withdraw now. While you still can. The silence that follows is not peaceful. It's the kind that happens right before a storm tears the sky apart. The chamber is chaos. Alarm lights strobe across the walls, a deep crimson that pulses like a dying heartbeat. The tactical center is packed with officers, hunched over consoles, their voices layered in panic. Warning tones echo in multiple frequencies. Systems glitch. Maps blink erratically. A wall of holographic projections shows dozens of active battle fronts all collapsing. Crosian soldiers scream through live audio feeds. Footage flickers, ambushed columns, downed transports, plasma bolts tearing through the dark, but not from Crosian hands. DREX. Shouting over the noise. They are firing plasma. Our plasma. The footage zooms in. Human fighters move in formation, crude, brutal, but coordinated. They are wielding Crosian rifles, retrofitted to fit their hands. Their armor patchwork imitations of Crosian exoskeletons looks crude but functional. Thick plating, painted matte black, with glowing blue strips stolen from dead soldiers. Even their silhouettes look Crosian, until they speak. Crosian operator. Tapping console, panicked. Sir, we're getting internal orders to fall back. From high command. Vorzak. I didn't issue a retreat. Operator. The signal matches our encryption keys. DREX. Eyes wide, voice trembling. They've stolen our encryption. They are broadcasting fake orders across our entire field network. Vorzak. They are dismantling us from the inside. He steps forward toward the central table, claws digging into the edge. The projection zooms out, the battle fronts form a global view now. Flashes of blue light ripple across multiple continents. The humans aren't just resisting. They are advancing. CAXI, OS. Sir. He enters from the side. His gait is rushed, unsteady. He holds a data shard, glowing red. CAXI. We've confirmed it. The humans have adapted our command language. They've breached multiple COMM nodes. Our own units are walking into traps thinking they are following Crosian orders. He places the shard on the console. It flickers, then plays audio. Unit 7, fall back to Corridor D9. Evac transport inbound. Repeat, D9. Then gunfire. Screams. DREX. They lured them in, with our own voice. Another alert blares. Operator. Sector 10 has gone dark. 18,000 troops, offline. CAXI. Sir, this isn't resistance anymore. This is strategy. Vorzak doesn't move. His eyes scan the globe, watching the edges collapse inward like a burning map. One sector at a time. Vorzak. We brought war to their world. He turns slowly, voice low. Vorzak. And now they've turned our fire back on us. The lights dim. Another explosion flashes across the central display, this time a human-modified plasma mortar detonating inside a Crosian command bunker. CAXI. They are not just using our weapons. He pauses. CAXI. They are becoming us. Vorzak stares at the burning world. And for the first time, he doesn't feel like a conqueror. He feels hunted. The medical bay is dim, quiet but not peaceful. Rows of incubation pods glow faint green. Inside, injured Crosian soldiers twitch in sedation. Some are missing limbs. Others are not moving at all. Monitors flash incomprehensible readings. Symbols blink red. The air smells of antiseptic gas and scorched chitin. Vorzak enters, his steps slow, deliberate. He passes a body sealed in transparent polymer. Its face is frozen in terror, not from battle, but from something unseen. Internal. Biological. Caxi stands at the central console, holding a containment canister, a transparent tube, faintly frosted. Inside, a pulsing data crystal embedded with viral analysis. He turns to face Vorzak. CAXI. We've confirmed it. He places the canister on the table. It unlocks with a hiss. A holographic projection rises, spinning visuals of Crosian internal anatomy. The circulatory system. The lungs. The neural matrix. Each organ flashes red in sequence. CAXI. They've found weaknesses in our biology. Our lungs. Our blood chemistry. Our nervous systems. Vorzak leans closer, his voice a whisper. Vorzak. How? CAXI. They studied our corpses. Every body we left behind became a research subject. He taps the projection. It shifts, now displaying human labs. Crude, dirty, but efficient. Human scientists in makeshift suits dissecting Crosian remains. Recording. Measuring. Synthesizing. CAXI. They've already begun developing airborne toxins. Tailored. Targeted. Vorzak stares at the footage. A human lab tech holds a vial up to the light, its contents swirl with faint luminescence. Vorzak. That compound, it's reacting to methane. CAXI. Yes. Our breathing gas. If aerosolized, It would ignite inside our own lungs. Another screen loads. Field test simulations. Crosian test subjects exposed to the compound collapse in seconds. Convulsing. Suffocating. Hemolymph boiling. Vorzak says nothing. CAXI. They are not guessing anymore. They understand how we live. So now they understand how to kill us. Vorzak. And we gave them everything they needed. We left our dead on their soil, and they turned them into blueprints. CAXI. There's more. He loads a final file. Images of mass human manufacturing factories repurposed into biological weapon production zones. Drones loading canisters. Human soldiers carrying dispersal units. CAXI. They've begun mass synthesis. Initial deployment estimated within 3 Earth rotations. Vorzak steps back. A deep silence falls between them, the kind that speaks louder than any siren. Across the bay, another Crosian body begins to seize inside its pod. Monitors scream. Medical drones rush, and too late. Vorzak. They are not just fighting back. They are building weapons designed for our extinction. He turns toward the exit. But his steps are slower now. As if gravity itself has increased. The chamber is enormous, domed, cold, and metallic. Black stone floors polished to a mirror. The ceiling disappears into shadow, lined with hundreds of silent watchers, imperial officers, aristocrats, and war commanders perched in high observation tiers. In the center of the room, a massive holographic projector flickers to life, casting a towering image of High Admiral Vorzak. He stands aboard his flagship, battle-worn and dimly lit behind him. His armor is scratched. His voice is steady, but weighted. Vorzak. Supreme Commander Zildarak. I am reporting direct from the Earth campaign front. The image of Zildarak appears in response, cold, massive, motionless. His eyes are dull black orbs, void of empathy. His voice booms like stone grinding against steel. Zildarak. We've received your transmission. We are aware of the human resistance. You will not retreat. Hold position. Reinforcements are coming. Vorzak's mandibles twitch. His voice tightens. Vorzak. With respect, Supreme Commander, more troops will not fix this. Every life we send only gives them more material to study. More tech to adapt. More bodies to learn from. Zildarak. Then crush them before they learn more. You underestimate the strength of our reinforcements. Vorzak. I do not question the strength of our forces, sir. But I have seen this enemy. They do not fight for victory. They fight to become better than us. The chamber murmurs, a wave of unease passing through the tiers. Zildarak. Are you saying you admire these creatures? A long pause. Vorzak lowers his gaze, then looks back up. Vorzak. No. I respect them. Zildarak's mandibles click once, sharp. Zildarak. Respect is for equals. Vorzak. Then we should fear the moment they become one. Zildarak steps forward, his towering image growing larger across the projector. Zildarak. You were sent to conquer a primitive world. Now you stand there praising it. Vorzak. I stand here warning you. These humans, they reverse-engineered plasma tech in days. They breached our encryption in less than a cycle. They are synthesizing bioweapons tailored to our physiology based on our own fallen. Zildarak. Your tone borders on insubordination, Admiral. Vorzak. And your orders border on genocide, not of them, of us. The chamber falls silent. Zildarak leans back, voice lowered but sharper. Zildarak. You will hold the line until the 7th Fleet arrives. 20 million soldiers. 3,000 ships. They will finish what you could not. Vorzak. Quietly. And when they fall, who will we send next? Zildarak glares. No answer. Vorzak's image flickers. His eyes shift not with fear, but with something more dangerous, grim certainty. Vorzak. They are evolving in real time. If we don't adapt our thinking, we won't have a future to command. Zildarak lifts his clawed hand dismissive. Zildarak. This transmission is over. Do not contact Imperial High Command again unless Earth has fallen, or you have. The link snaps. The chamber fades into silence. Vorzak turns from the darkened screen aboard his ship. His shoulders sink slightly. CAXI, OS. He didn't listen. Vorzak. He never does. CAXI. Then what do we do? Vorzak stares out the viewport, Earth glowing below, a blue spark in the dark. Vorzak. We prepare for the slaughter. Or we find a way to survive it. The command bridge trembles. A low rumble, subtle at first and growing into a seismic groan as the entire flagship shakes. Alarms scream. Holograms shatter into static. Crew members stagger at their stations. Tactical officer. Urgent. Sir. Coordinated planetary counteroffensive detected, full spectrum. All sectors. Vorzak. How many? Tactical officer. All of them, sir. Across the screen, Earth glows with activity not from its cities, but from its shadows. Explosions erupt in synchronized patterns. Human forces pour out from ruins, forests, tunnels, even oceans. Every city burns with Crosian fire turned against them. In the upper right quadrant of the map, a new alert flashes. Bioweapon deployment detected. CAXI. They've released it. Vorzak. Where? CAXI. Everywhere. Screens shift. On the ground, Crosian soldiers collapse mid-run. Choking. Seizing. Their armor frosts over as their lungs rupture. Chemical plumes drift over battlefields like ghosts. Medical officer. We can't filter it out. Our respirators are failing. It's engineered perfectly. DREX. This is impossible. They are not advanced enough for this. CAXI. They weren't. But now they are. Another screen flashes. In Earth's orbit, multiple signatures emerge from the asteroid belt, fast-moving, unnatural trajectories. Tactical officer. They are accelerating objects, large ones. Rock formations with improvised propulsion systems. Vorzak. Kinetic weapons. CAXI. Sir, they are weaponizing their own solar system. DREX. They are flinging rocks at us. CAXI. Rocks moving at 40,000 meters per second. With mass and intent. One of the objects slams into a Crosian frigate on the outer perimeter. It disintegrates instantly. Another asteroid hits a cruiser's shields, the barrier buckles, then folds. Hull breach. No survivors. Tactical officer. We're losing fleet cohesion. Communication lines are compromised. Ground command centers are gone. CAXI. They've taken everything from us. Our tech. Our tactics. Our tempo. Vorzak stares at the chaos. Hands still. Breathing slow. Vorzak. They are not fighting us anymore. They are hunting us. The lights flicker. Explosions ripple through the fleet's formation outside the viewport. Flames bloom in silence, far too many. DREX. We need orders. Vorzak closes his eyes. Then opens them. Resolved. Vorzak. Initiate full planetary withdrawal. All remaining ground units. All ships. Full vector retreat. DREX. Outraged. You would abandon a conquest. Vorzak. I would prevent an extinction. CAXI. Evacuation protocols activating. The screen shows escape paths opening narrow windows between debris fields and orbital fires. Vorzak watches as Earth grows smaller in the display. But its presence feels larger than ever. The Grand Tribunal Hall is filled with murmurs, a low, vibrating tension of thousands of Crosians. The court chamber is tall, ancient, cruel in design. At the center, Vorzak, restrained. On trial for treason. Zildarak. Admiral Gre Vorzak. You stand accused of dereliction of duty. Cowardice. Treason. How do you plead? Vorzak lifts his head slowly. His voice is calm. Vorzak. Not guilty. I did not retreat from fear. I withdrew from annihilation. Gasps ripple through the chamber. Zildarak narrows his eyes. Zildarak. You surrendered a planet to primitives. Vorzak. No. I survived an encounter with something our empire has never faced. An enemy that learns faster than we can kill. Who reverse engineers our weapons, corrupts our signals, and turns death into data. Zildarak. Enough. Vorzak. Raising his voice. They don't adapt over centuries. They evolved in days. And we woke them up. Silence. He looks around the tribunal. Not defiant, resolute. Vorzak. I didn't lose Earth. I stopped it from becoming the tomb of our empire. The hall is vast, hollow, and echoing. Ancient architecture melts with advanced energy conduits lining the curved walls. High above, tiered balconies hold thousands of Crosians, military officials, scholars, nobles, and silent observers. The center platform glows. Vorzak stands alone, bound by a magnetic restraint field. His armor has been stripped of insignia. His presence, however, is not diminished. At the highest tier stands the tribunal, 5 high judges, cloaked in shimmering metallic robes. Supreme Commander Zildarak is among them. Zildarak. Admiral Gre Vorzak. You are charged with high treason, dereliction of duty, and cowardice in the face of an inferior species. What is your defense? Vorzak lifts his gaze. The light casts shadows over his face. His voice carries through the chamber, calm, cold, and filled with conviction. Vorzak. I acted not out of fear, but out of clarity. What we faced on Earth was not a primitive species. It was a force in rapid transformation. He gestures subtly. A holographic projector rises. The lights dim. On screen, Earth. Then images flicker in rapid succession. Human forces adapting plasma weapons, intercepting comms, forging exosuites. Vorzak. They are not just survivors. They are becoming apex predators. Fast. Gasps ripple through the court. Vorzak. They have reversed engineered parts of our orbital systems. Repurposed our shield technology. And perhaps most dangerously begun replicating basic FTL communication protocols. Another screen flashes showing human satellites pulsing with alien energy signatures. Vorzak. 3 months ago, they were barely space capable. Today, they've built orbital defenses, interlinked a global communication net, and begun synthesizing star mapping software we haven't even decrypted from their data cores. The projection changes again. Human leaders from former rival nations now standing together, issuing joint commands in a newly formed Earth Defense Coalition. Vorzak. They were fragmented. Divided. But we gave them something they never had before. A common enemy. The chamber falls silent. Even Zildarak doesn't interrupt. Vorzak. They have weaponized their biology, their physics, their learning. They are not growing stronger in generations. They are doing it in weeks. He takes a breath. Then looks directly at the tribunal. Vorzak. We invaded Earth. But Earth has invaded our future. Tribunal Judge 2. Speculation. Fear. You offer shadows, not certainty. Vorzak gestures again. More holograms appear, graphs of data, casualty patterns, intercepted human tech schematics. Vorzak. This is not speculation. This is what they are, and what they are becoming. He pauses. Vorzak. We've conquered thousands of species. But never one like this. He walks slowly within his field, restrained, but imposing. Vorzak. The humans possess something we do not. Adaptation without limitation. Sacrifice without hesitation. And curiosity that has no leash. Tribunal Judge 3. And your recommendation? Vorzak. Stop treating them like a problem to crush. Start treating them like a power to negotiate with. Or prepare for a war we will not win. A long silence. Zildarak rises. His voice is low, almost measured. Zildarak. You withdrew from a battlefield without command. You surrendered territory the Empire had bled for. And now you stand here, asking us to bow to the species that shamed you? Vorzak. No. I am asking you to recognize that the Crosian Empire has awakened something in humanity that may never go back to sleep. And when they reach the stars, they will remember us. The lights return. The tribunal prepares to deliberate. The chamber is quiet. Sacred. No tribunal. No judges. Only the Empress, tall, veiled in shimmering white alloys, her presence more than regal, it is absolute. Vorzak kneels before her, no longer bound, but not yet free. His armor has been restored but recolored, not the black of war, but the silver of emissaries. A long pause passes between them. Then her voice, soft but edged with timeless authority. Empress, you defied orders. You questioned your command. And yet, you did not fail. She stands. Empress. The tribunal sees cowardice. I see clarity. She approaches. Her hand, layered in fractal silk nanoweave, touches the panel beside her throne. A hologram rises, Earth pulsing with energy, orbiting silently in its lonely system. Empress, this species is dangerous. But so were we, once. She turns back to Vorzak. Empress, you are no longer High Admiral. You are now Imperial Envoy to Earth, with full diplomatic authority. Vorzak. Quietly. You trust them? Empress. No. But I trust you to understand what we cannot afford to repeat. She steps back. The guards open the chamber doors. Empress. Go. Speak for us, before they speak against us. Vorzak stands alone at the viewing deck. The stars drift slowly past. Earth grows closer. Caxi enters behind him, now wearing the insignia of a diplomatic aide. CAXI. We arrive within 3 cycles. Do you think they'll listen? Vorzak doesn't answer immediately. He stares at the blue planet ahead, beautiful, wounded, alive. Then, softly as if to himself. Vorzak, Vio. We tried to conquer them. Instead, we woke them up. Now, I must convince them we can be something else. Before it's too late. The stars shimmer. Fade to black. The Crosians came to Earth with one purpose: to dominate. To crush. To erase resistance as they had done on 1,000 worlds before. But this time, something went wrong. They expected fear. They found defiance. They expected primitive weapons. They were met with minds that learned faster than their machines could track. They thought they were facing a lesser species. But instead, they awakened a force more dangerous than any weapon. A species that evolves under fire. That studies while it bleeds. That turns pain into pattern and vengeance into strategy. And now, Earth is no longer just a battleground. It's becoming something else. A forge. A crucible. A birthplace for something new and terrifying. As the Crosian Empire pulls back to lick its wounds, the galaxy holds its breath. Because everyone knows, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something bigger. Something the Crosians couldn't stop. And maybe no one can. Was this a tactical retreat? Or the first step toward humanity's rise as a dominant force among the stars? What do you think? Was Earth's resistance a miracle of instinct, or the early signs of a species designed to conquer in ways no empire ever expected? Tell us in the comments below. We want to hear your thoughts, your theories, your warnings. And if you're not ready to let this story go, don't worry. It's only just beginning. Subscribe now, and return with us. To the shadows between stars. To the whispers of war that hasn't ended. To the chronicles that haven't yet been written. Because in this universe, what you think is the end might just be the first page of something far more dangerous.